Does anyone need a class book or want a class book? Okay. Two stacks. Okay. Let's try that again. Lesson number 3, Abraham and Sarah. The text begins in Genesis 12. We'll go back to 11 in just a moment. But looking at some of the families in the Bible and looked at a couple. As we begin this morning, we'd like to ask Jared, if he would, lead us in a word of prayer. What do you think of when you think of Abraham? Father of the faithful, okay? I remember back growing up, we had flashcards, the official flashcards. And whenever you said, who was Abraham? It was the father of the faithful and the friend of God. That was the official answer. I didn't know anything else about Abraham, but that says a lot about him. If you are a friend of God, that's a wonderful thing. Father of the faithful, a wonderful thing. And so there's a lot with the life of Abraham and really Sarah as well. And he's in the Hebrews chapter 11, very important as far as Israel and really looking back as far as the church because of the Messiah coming. But he wasn't a perfect man. He had his ups and downs. He had his moments of tremendous faith, but at times where he needed a little more trust in God at times. And so I appreciate the scripture showing the positive and negatives on people, the struggles that they may have had. We're introduced to Abraham, I think, in Genesis chapter 11 and verse 26. Now Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the genealogy of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran begat Lot. And so there we're introduced. Abram is born. His name was Abram. He married Sarai later. His name, normally we think of it as Abraham. Who knows, for bonus points here, what does the name Abram mean? I'll give you a hint, it's on page 28, down toward the bottom. Abram means exalted father, whereas Abraham, father of many nations. It goes beyond just, he is blessed with a son, but it goes beyond that son to a multitude of people that would come. God would bless him and bless him and bless him again. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. But we're introduced to him in Genesis chapter 11. And so in chapter 12 of Genesis, we come to the first part of our lesson text. Well, actually, let's go back to the previous chapter 11, verse 29. After his father died, they were in the Ur of the Chaldees. Then Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. The name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren. She had no child. And so you have, here's a couple, and they're not able to have children. And, that can be hard on people today with that want to start a family and have a family, and they're not able to have children. But I think back in that day and age especially, and you still get some of that today, people might, back then, a woman felt like she was not successful in life. You didn't have children, and, probably looked at her self-worth down a little bit. Husbands may not be happy with their wives for not being able to have children, even, whatever it may be. I mean, you can imagine how they would feel. They wanted to have a child. They are of age that they really were too old to, you'd think, to have children, and yet God made promises to them. And chapter 12, we begin now. Now the Lord said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse him who curses you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So, God says, leave your family. And if you've done any reading on Ur of the Chaldees, I mean, it was an advanced city back in that day and age. I mean, it had culture. It had, I think, aqueducts and watering, irrigation systems there, which would make a huge difference. It was an advanced city of the day. And for God to say, look, just Abraham, here you are. And by the way, how old was Abraham at this point? Abram, 75 years old. I've still got a couple of more years. Some are on the far side of 75. I've got a few more years before I'll get there. I'm at, to 75. But, you think about, here's your land. The land that you've lived on is family land. You're with your family. You're at the point that you're trying to probably, you've settled down and think this is where I'll be for the rest of my life. And yet now it's time to pull up stakes and depart. But who's telling him? God's telling him. The Lord said to Abram, get out of your country. Now, did Abram obey God? Yes? What? Yes and no? You got your bases covered. Yeah, I mean, we think about it, he does leave, but in what part did he fall, may have fallen short? Do what? Yeah, he took some of his family with him, didn't he? And you see, Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And so he does take Lot's family with him. Now, he does depart the family homeland and all those other family connections, and here he is taking Lot, who, as his nephew, and again, he doesn't have children, so there may have been a special connection there. But he does leave, and that takes a lot, at his age and his situation, for him to leave that back. And God just says, you go, and I'll show you where we're going. Now, before we pulled up stakes and moved, we'd at least want to know where we're going, why we're moving, what's taking place. But again, it's God telling him that, and so he does what God says. Any thoughts? Okay. Do what? I mean, he begins his journey, and we're going to see little by little he pitches his tent further. We see Lot later pitching his tent towards Sodom, but I mean, he's moving in the direction God tells him to move, but he does move away from the Ur and heads toward that direction. And then I think he has to be told again to get up and go again. What were you going to say, Billy?
Came from a pagan family, people that worship idols. How did Abram come to know God? If he didn't just come to know God from his relatives and other people, then did God just choose him because of attributes he possessed that God knew, or did God just plant him and put him? How did Abram come to be the father of the chosen race of God Almighty?
What's your feelings?
What's my favorite?
Yeah.
put him there. He was predestined to be a person.
You know, you look at the,
That's the way
yeah, you look at the patriarchal age. I mean, you know, before the Judaism was established, before the children of Israel came into existence. I mean, we go back and we looked at Adam and Eve, and we talked about Cain and Abel and the sacrifices they offered. So God had specified sacrifices because Abel did his by faith, and so it was a, you know, God had faith comes